Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather. Next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Daytime will take us to the 27th of April, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the CFS and ECM ensembles. Maybe for a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 for May at the end of the video, and I shall get to that for you in a moment. Just say that first. Video today was our 6 UK weather forecast. Please like, share, and subscribe on all our videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. But GavsWeatherVids, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely Wednesday. Right, let's start off with the central temperature. CT is now down to 11 degrees, so very gradually, day by day, this is ticking down slightly. That's 3.2 degrees above 61 to 1990 average, though. That's visual to yesterday to 16th of April. I think that'll go down into the 10s tomorrow, probably be 10.8, 10.9, something like that. And that will still be 3 degrees above average, so 3 degrees above 61 to 1990 average anyway. So certainly the first half of April has been very warm, but not necessarily the second half of April, following the same the same trend. These are the 500 millibar hydraulic flow chart for Penn State University for the next week, 10 days. We've got the ECM WF on the top, the GFS, which we'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. So 500 millibars, 80 pounds B, is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure and low pressure are being moved around by a jet stream running above. Red, orange, and yellow extrapolate to above average height, which is high pressure. Blue to below average height, which is low pressure. So in the 7 to 10 day time frame, the ECM has an area of above average heights, high pressure blocking areas, high pressure in the North Atlantic heading up towards Greenland, with a trough of low pressure across many parts of Europe, and that will bring the wind in from a northeasterly direction, and that's quite a cold wind direction. So in the 7 to 10 day time frame, the ECM is looking relatively dry, yes, so there could be some showers in the south and the east, but the main thing is that the ECM is looking quite chilly. And the GFS is in agreement with that as well. They're both looking quite cold in the 7 to 10 day time frame. Again, with a mid-Atlantic ridge forming a blocking area of high pressure towards Greenland, and perhaps a deeper trough of low pressure to our south and east. And the upshot, again, is that we're likely to be bringing the wind in from a pretty cold northerly or northeasterly direction there, with both the GFS and the ECM. So the long-term trend for the second half of April looks to be colder than average. And check out the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. We're looking at London today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London, and we see really quite significantly below average upper air temperatures for the next week, 10 days, actually a long run. Pretty cold weather, certainly from an upper air temperature perspective, to come through the rest of April, into the beginning of May, which is just here. Possibly signs of a bit of a recovery in the upper air temperature, but that's extended range and therefore really unreliable time frame stuff. And in the next week, 10 days anyway, that is long run of below average temperature. Where was that in January? Where was that in February? Etc. 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 It's just typical, isn't it? Now we'll be able to offset that a little bit with temperature, with the temperature on the surface, due to the strength of the sun. The sun now is about as strong as it will be in the middle of August. Obviously, it's not as warm as it will be in the middle of August, but nevertheless, when the sun is out this time of year, it does have a lot of power to it, it does have a lot of strength, so we'll just be able to offset those colder upper air temperatures to some degree by day, but by night, I think we're going to have a continued and ongoing risk of overnight frost when skies are clear. And as far as precipitation is concerned, well, relatively dry, not completely dry, but relatively dry over the next week or so, but it looks like things could start turning a lot more unsettled towards the latter stage of April and into the beginning of May. Again, that is extended range stuff, so it's in the unreliable time frame, but yeah, it does look as though we are in for perhaps some wetter conditions by the end of April, but certainly for the next week or so, looking relatively dry there. with that blocking area of high pressure away to the northwest. Temperature anomaly is from 15th to 23rd of April, just a little bit below average. I don't want to talk about, but the upper air temperature is quite substantially below average. The temperature anomaly, no, that still hasn't updated, has it? That's still showing from the 15th 23rd. Right, we'll get rid of that then. Okay, we're having problems, by the way, with these third-party websites. So the CFS NOAA is now working, but we haven't had an update from the weeklies yet. So that's the reason at the end of the I'll be showing you CFS V2 data for May rather than the full weeklies from the CFS. Right, so we'll move on from that then. I wonder whether they'll get those anomaly maps updated. Never mind, let's move on from that and go to the latest weather map from earthnorthschool.net. So we see wind in from the north again today, so there we are. We've got a northerly with high pressure out to the west, would say, wasn't it? Back from Gav again today. Low pressure to the east, winds coming down from the north. So feeling pretty chilly out there. Once again, have not ventured out. There's a bit of sunshine around, but certainly feel quite cold in that wind. Right, where I am, tells me there. Okay, so we're going to start going through chart data then. This is how the latest UK Met Euro run is looking for midnight on Saturday. High pressure is starting to ease its way back in from the west, so turning drier through the weekend. Should feel quite pleasant in that area of high pressure, I think, by Sunday. But into the beginning of next week, high pressure starts lifting out northwards again, starts pulling this east-northeasterly wind. So as we go through next week, colder air starts getting dragged in from the east and from the northeast with the area of high pressure way to the northwest. Relatively dry, but I think this easterly wind could bring a few showers to southern and east there, but the main thing will be the drop in the temperature. So over the weekend, the temperature will lift up by day anyway, getting into mid to upper teens Celsius maybe by Sunday, but expect those upper air temperatures and upper air temperatures to start lowering through the beginning of next week as we get wind back in to the east and the northeast again. I can't show that high pressure. Showing that high pressure moving in from the Atlantic through the early part of the weekend and really sitting over country through the weekend, but into next week, high pressure then starts moving away to the northwest again, and that starts allowing winds to come in from an east or northeasterly direction. So still relatively dry, but as pressure just begins to lower a little bit, some showers. The main thing I think for the early part of next week will be colder temperatures, most notably so at night. This is how the KMA is looking as well. So once more that high pressure building in through the weekend, but into the early part of next week it lifts northwards. We pull in that easterly wind, which will be quite a chilly, quite a cold easterly wind. And then high pressure remains out to west into the second half of next week, relatively dry, but quite cold with that. And we start bringing low pressure into the mix as we get towards the end of April. So low pressure coming up from the south and moving in from the Atlantic as well. So just an increasingly unsettled look for the closing days of April. And still quite chilly as well. We're still on the cool side of the jet stream. So it just means that we bring back more rain and the temperature stays pretty depressed as we're going through the latter stages of the April, final days of the month there with the KMA. Oh dear. GFS midnight run again with high pressure building in off the Atlantic through the weekend. Should be relatively pleasant with that. But next week, high pressure pushes away to the northwest. In come these northeasterly winds looking quite chilly, maybe cold through the early part of next week. Should be mostly dry, but again, there could be a few showers in more southern and eastern regions. Heading up towards day 10, we find that high pressure is out to our west, so winds continue to come from a pretty chilly northerly type direction, and pressure lowering as well. So again, slightly more unsettled look to the weather charts here as we go into the closing days of April and the beginning of May. Not desperately so, but certainly, you know, could be a risk of showery conditions, some showers anyway, in the closing days of and still pretty cool up to the end of April with the GFS midnight run, GFS V2. Again, with high pressure building through the country over the weekend, mostly dry. With that, could be a little bit on the chilly side. And then into next week, take high pressure northwestwards again, bringing in that north to northeasterly wind, and so that brings some colder air back in from the north and from the northeast. Always on the cool side of a ridge. You'll notice the ridge always out to our west, means that around that we bring the wind in from a north or a northeasterly direction. At day 10, the ridge begins to slip south and start to allow pressure in from off the Atlantic. And into the closing days of April and the beginning of May, just slightly less cold look, so temperature picking up a bit, but as a low pressure coming off the Atlantic, a more unsettled look as well, probably just turning back to rather wettish conditions there by the beginning of May. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Not very good, is it, these charts? Never mind, we'll carry on with the GM in a moment. Just say that if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks so much to everyone for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. So to everyone for doing that. We've hit 18.1k. We're pushing on to 18.2k now. So if you could give us a sub and tell your friends and family to subscribe, that would be amazing. It would be incredible. And we will thank you so much for doing that. Okay, GM. Again, that area is high pressure building in from the west as we go through the weekend. Mostly dry, but could be a little bit on the cool side around the southeastern coast, but I think the temperature probably lifts up under that area of high pressure by day anyway through the weekend. But into the beginning of next week, the high pressure band drifts away to the northwest, and that allows this cooler or colder air to start coming in from the east and from the north. So by the middle of next week, you've got high pressure out in the Atlantic, low pressure back to the east, winds again returning to that north or northeast direction, and pressure just lowers really through days 8, 9, 10. So it stays cool, maybe quite cold, and turns increasingly showery, not desperately wet, but turns increasingly showery, I think, now as we get towards the closing days of April, around day 10. And then the east, all much of a muchness, high pressure builds through the country during the weekend, will be relatively present over the weekend, could be a bit cold by night. And then next week, the high pressure starts drifting away to the northwest, winds turning into the east and from the northeast. That probably bring quite a lot of cloud and some showers into southern and eastern parts of the country on the cold side of the ridge, with the air around it going in coming in from the northeast around the area of high pressure. And those northeasterlies are maintained really through days 8, 9 and 10. So high pressure away to the northwest, winds continue to come from the northeast, and that could bring a few showers and some cloud in some of these regions. Should be a lot of dry weather with that area of high pressure, but will be quite chilly. This is a precipitation forecast based on that eastern run from Tameteo.com. So we've got showery conditions for central northern regions over the next couple of days. We'll be back to drier conditions though for the end of the week. And then into the weekend, and next week, high pressure drifts away to the northwest. That starts to bring those northeasterly winds into play. Showers around southern, southeastern coast areas. Otherwise, there will be a lot of dry weather, but of course, we may also drag in quite a lot of cloud with these northeasterly winds. That would hold the temperature up by night, but it would be days pretty cold and pretty cold and cloudy and whatnot. Again, we see a lot of dry weather here over the next 10 days. Not much in the way of precipitation. So that is the good news. We're still drying out, even if we're not having particularly warm weather. The ground will be, starting to dry a little bit over the next week, 10 days, definitely. But the position of high pressure, again, is a position to bring quite chilly conditions. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensemble day 4, day 10. Gets the 27th of April from the Isolated Met Office. 18 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic. Low pressure is away to the east. Again, winds coming in from that northerly or northeasterly direction. Showery potentially for southern and east regions. Mostly dry in many areas though, but quite cold with the wind direction. We have 17 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure. Again, blocking to the north, to the northwest, and rather deeper low pressure though to the south, and that brings in perhaps a rather stronger easterly type flow. No, just a little bit more unsettled, a little bit wetter maybe, southern regions with both 17, and then 16 with rather deep low pressure to our east, high pressures away to the west. Again, winds coming in from quite a cold northerly or northeasterly direction. And I guess all options are bringing in like easterly, northeasterly, northerly winds. All options will be chilly. It's just a question of how unsettled or settled it will be. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. It will get us into May, actually, 2nd of May. Come on, highlighter. Goes to the 2nd of May. 20 members of the ECM ensembles will have high pressure. So, sorry, but high pressure towards Iceland. Low pressure over France, and winds coming in from a chilly easterly direction. Again, motion settled in the south with that. We've got 17 with low pressure over and to the east of the country, cool and showering. And then we've got 14, looking a little bit better if you want something drier and warmer. High pressure ridging up from the southwest. That should start to bring up some milder or warmer air from the southwest, and still relatively settled as well. So that's the option to root for if you want something a little bit warmer for the beginning of May. However, the majority option, and it's a strong majority as well, 20 and 17, so that's 37 members of the ECM ensembles looking rather cool and showering, maybe quite cold and showering for the beginning of May. And then we saw CFS V2 looking for May overall. Again, we haven't got weeklies. They are back. CFS website back up and running. I think there was some sort of issue with NOAA. Yes, many of the NOAA websites seem to be down. And that's had, other impacts, such as on the temperature and precipitation anomalies, but we look at. NOAA's back up and running, but it takes a while, for everything to start coming back on stream. So hopefully we'll have 4 weeklies back from CFS tomorrow. We'll see. But this is how the CFS is looking for May, anyway. So finally, we see high pressure up towards Greenland and in the Atlantic, low pressure down here. And winds will be coming in from like an easterly direction there. Of course, May is a very easterly month, so it is quite typical for a May weather pattern. The temperature anomaly is just a little bit above average, not excessively so. The precipitation anomaly shows no particular signal. As I say, hopefully, whoops, let's get rid of that, shall we? As I say, hopefully, we will have the CFS weeklies back tomorrow. Right, we're done. So, if you enjoyed the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And so, everybody for doing that. Why don't drop a comment and say what you think about this and all of our videos and content. And don't forget to tell friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank everyone for doing that. I'll just tell what's happening on the channel tomorrow. We've got 6 AM UK weather forecast, European outlook, and a 10 to 14 day. Usual regular videos to come tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. And for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.